Today I'm going to review for you the graphic novel Blackwood, the library edition. This is written by Evan Dorkin with art by Veronica Fish, Andy Fish, and Greg McKenna. It's published by Dark Horse Comics. In Blackwood, a group of new students arrives at Blackwood College, which is sort of like an alternative school where people study esoteric and occult things. And no surprise, really, but they also, well, some of them also practice it. Basically, the second that the students arrive, things start going awry immediately. The dean has read from a forbidden book. He's starting to undergo some alarming changes. And frankly, things just spiral from there. This is described as a horror comedy. And I'd say it's probably more horror than comedy for me anyway. I don't know if I was, necessarily getting a lot of humor out of it. There are some, sort of humorous sort of circumstances, and there's a lot of fun to be had here. A lot of fun designs, and the characters are overall pretty light, and they are kind of archetypal. We don't necessarily dive deep into these characters, but the whole feel of it is sort of Evil Dead. That might be a good way to describe it. Sort of a less blatantly comedic Evil Dead. There are two story arcs collected in this edition, the very first one and then the morning after. I read the first story arc as individual issues and I really enjoyed it, but it was only 4 issues long. And that's one of the things I think is sort of working against this series in general and this volume in particular, is that because there's only 8 issues really of a comic book collected here. It's on very thick, nice stock. It's very well presented. The art is gorgeous. I really love the style of it and the colors used, the design of it all. But even when I first read these comics, which I think the original series came out in 2018, so it's been a while, and the follow-up series came out in 2020. But the first time I read the very first series, I felt like it was a little slight, like I wanted more. And having read the second arc here, I still feel that way. This book ends essentially on not really a cliffhanger, but it leaves lots of plot lines dangling. We know that the main student characters that we are introduced to all have sort of dark pasts that are hidden to that, but we never actually explore any of them in the first 2 stories here. It gets very caught up in the plot, and the plot between the 2 stories does get pretty complex. There is, well, I really honestly can't even tell you without giving you any spoilers, but there's a lot going on here plot-wise, which means the characters kind of get squeezed out. And it's the thing that kind of left me feeling a little hollow with this book. So I really enjoyed it. I really had a lot of fun with it. I'm glad I own it. I'm going to keep it because I absolutely love the art and look of it. And I think it'll be fun just to flip through in the future. But I don't think there's been any more of the series announced since this came out. And it's been 4 years since the last series came out. So are they even going to make any more? I couldn't find anything online about it. So if it just ends here, it's a little unsatisfying, to be honest. I think if they keep going with it, then this could evolve into a really great series because I do think there is some great foundations. But because we never really get to see the college operating normally, like we don't even start the semester. By the end of this book, the semester has not even started because there's been too many disruptive things. So since we don't really get a sense of what it's supposed to be like, it kind of just feels like you're thrown in the deep end with characters you don't know that well. And yes, the plot's fun, but there isn't a lot for my brain to kind of catch on and remember.